Today's guest host is a true squawk master of the markets. I don't know, it's like paper money. I think we've printed too many squawk masters of the markets. And I think that...
You think we've diluted the value?
I think we have. I do. I do. And I think that
deflation
he should be like 2 or 3 squawk masters. Chanos should, known for his lucrative hedge fund strategies on Wall Street. He's here. He runs Kinnikos Associates, approximately $7 billion in assets under management. An old friend. I used to live in Cincinnati, so I know all about Baldwin United, and I always bring this up with you because people don't remember Baldwin United. This was one of the first total scams, annuities. It was like, I think 1982, wasn't it?
82, 83, yeah.
And I don't need to say how old you are now, but you were you barely had a job at that point.
I had a paper route back then.
Right, you were an analyst, and you smelled a rat there. I mean, people think of Jim as just Mr. Smelling a Rat at Enron. You totally knew about Baldwin United, which was a horrific disaster when it happened.
It was the largest financial bankruptcy in the United States when it happened.
It was.
In history, yeah.
And I've told you guys, I was in the business, and I had a friend, and he was a pretty good friend. He finally said, I'm not going to buy any more Global Marine. There's only one safe stock. All my clients are going to be in Baldwin United. I'm going to bet all my clients are going to be in Baldwin United. So all of them were, and then that happened. It was bad because I went in on his Quiltron machine, and you know how you can watch all these stocks? I made everyone BDW.
BDW.
BDW on his Quiltron.
You were like that then?
Yeah, I was like that then, too. So here's what I want to know. When China decided to make those moves in the last week or whenever it was, most people said, these guys, so it's worked. They're trying to orchestrate a soft landing. They were growing too quickly. They took some steps. Now they're able to reverse those steps because they successfully orchestrated a soft landing.
Yeah, they've pushed the right buttons and pulled the right levers.
Is that what happened?
Effortlessly.
You look at it totally differently, right? Now, you would say that they see the writing on the wall and that they're now scrambling to try to get things going again.
I would say that 9 men in a room are going to have a very difficult time controlling a complex 1.3 billion people economy, and it's just not going to be that easy. Remember, it's the same people that sort of got them in this mess. So now, again, similar to the EU and the US, we're counting on the same people of getting them out of their debt trap. The headline last night that actually got more people concerned, there was a low Chinese inflation number, was actually a developer missed a big payment to another developer. And about $200–300 billion was due and was not made. And this
that is a big development.
This was a big development, and it was 2 something billion RMB, excuse me, so it's about 300 million. And this was the buzz in the markets over there overnight, not the EU, not the inflation number. And I think that you're going to see more of these surprises.
But I would say that you always, every time you've been in for the past year or year and a half, you've had little anecdotal stories like that to bring along with you.
Not missed payments. I mean, there's
Really?
lots of stories about overbuilding.
$300 billion mispayments?
No, 300 million.
Million, not billion.
Yuan, yeah.
It's a 2 billion yuan.
Yeah, I was thinking to myself, what kind of developer is
this?
Yeah,
sorry. But in any case, you're going to see more stories about this, about missed payments and debt servicing problems. That's where we are in the cycle.
In looking at the stuff that you provide for us, when you saw what percentage of China's economy is construction, I thought, I must be, I don't know. I believe the export story. I would have thought 70% was exports. So you're telling me
5% of their economy is net exports.
70% is construction.
You believe it when you see the cranes over
70% is construction?
This is people who worry about the currency and worry about it's completely misguided. This is a story about investment and construction. That's what China is. And
so all of the shorts that you've taken on are typically construction-oriented or real estate-oriented.
Let's be clear. China's going to survive all this, and this is not the end of the next Middle Kingdom. But they have a real estate bubble on their hands, and they're going to have to get through this. And we're not saying China's going to completely melt down as a society or a country, but they are going to have real credit problems, and they're going to have real problems in the sector that is the largest part of their economy. Right. And that's going to be a pretty big speed bump.
And when you say that this is where we are in the cycle, how does the cycle play out from here?
Well, I mean, we've been talking about this, as you know, here for 2 years now. And what we finally saw this fall was the deceleration in real estate sales. Starting in September, basically condominium sales, apartment sales have dropped, excuse me, 40% year over year.
Wow.
And that has continued into December. So similar to Miami in 06 and Vegas in 07, we've started to see the market has just stopped. And our next best guess is that prices now will begin to adjust downward. Right. And again, this is a real estate market that's only 12 years old.
Is this a real estate market throughout the country, or is this?
Yeah, it's not Beijing. And people, let me be clear, because people go to Beijing and Shanghai and say, oh, Chanos has never been there. And that's their impression of China.
You should go there just so they can't say that.
I was going to tell you that I talked to a senior Chinese official, actually, after you were on the broadcast last time, and I said, Chanos thinks that he's not allowed to go.
Oh, no,
Remember, I thought you said you get strung up at the airport. I didn't know if you were joking or not.
I was joking.
I think you can take the flight.
I've been invited by some of the senior officials of the country myself.
But you might have fun there, too. I can give you a couple of... Andrew has told me about a couple. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
There's great Chinese food there, I hear. But I think that going to Shanghai and Beijing is like going to London and New York in 07 and saying, I don't see many problems.
Put you in touch with Father.
Why not go, by the way? It's a serious question, because so many people say he has these views. He's supposed to be an expert, and yet he hasn't been. Why not go?
Well, first of all, I have people there all the time. I just had a team just get back last week.
Right. No, but why not personally go?
At this point, I think probably it doesn't make a lot of personal sense to go.
Does it make you more clear-headed not to be there?
I don't know. As I say, we're analyzing the numbers. I think that I don't think we've gotten this one wrong by not being there. And I think that at this point, we're looking at the same things other people are looking at. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what walking around Shanghai, Beijing, Xi'an, or Chengdu is going to do to change my life.
People always say you want to have the feet on the, boots on the ground.
But maybe you get spun more easily that way, too.
Yeah.
I told you I'll give you Faber's phone number. Mark Faber. He'll set you up over there, probably. Do you know Mark?
I've met him.
Okay. Also in the notes about, they're similar to what, a Japanese bubble?
Well, I think that some of the similarities are a little eerie. You've got a great Asian culture that had looked inward for centuries, that suddenly was an export-driven economy, where export margins dropped, and they basically supplemented it with lots of speculation, and then exported capital into the region to keep their ability to get resources. Mm-hmm. You had a model, lest we not forget, in the late 80s that was taken as the model, mm-hmm. the sort of marriage of the state and capitalism in a directed economy that would put the West to shame. And remember that? And that sounds a little bit similar to what we're hearing today about China, of a new model, state-driven.
What I'm hearing from you is that it's internal too, because people have downgraded some of their expectations on China based on Europe, on not exporting to Europe. But if exports are that small, then most of the stuff you're talking about isn't even related to Europe. It's all internal.
This is going to be a homegrown problem, I think, for China. It's going to be how to navigate through this giant bubble and transform the economy to a consumption-led economy, because consumption keeps dropping as a percent of GDP, despite all the strategists who keep telling you that the Chinese consumer is going to pick up